My name is Emily, and my life was seemingly normal until everything fell apart. I met my husband, Michael, in college, and we built a life together. We were the perfect couple, or so I thought. We had dreams, shared laughter, and made plans for the future. But one day, without warning, it all changed. The morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting a gentle glow on the room. I yawned and stretched, expecting to find my husband, Michael, lying beside me. But the space next to me was cold and empty. Confusion crept into my mind as I called out for him, the echoes of my voice hanging heavy in the silence. "Michael?" I called again, my voice tinged with concern. No response. Panic started to rise within me as I hurriedly searched the house, hoping to find a clue as to where he might be, but there was nothing. His car was still parked outside, untouched, but he was nowhere to be found. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no sign of Michael. I reached out to his friends, his colleagues, but none of them had any idea where he could be. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving me behind, questioning everything. The nights were the hardest. As darkness blanketed the world, my mind became a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. What could have happened? Did something terrible befall him? Or was this a deliberate act? The uncertainty gnawed at my soul, tearing at the fabric of our once perfect life. Each day without him was a reminder of the life we had built together, a life that had now crumbled into dust. I couldn't understand why he would abandon our life without a word. Did I do something wrong? Was there someone else? The questions swirled in my mind, tormenting me, as if my very existence was unworthy of acknowledgement. One evening, as I sat alone at the kitchen table, my gaze fixed on the untouched meal before me, the phone rang, jolting me from my thoughts. Hope sparked within me as I rushed to answer it. "Hello?" I said, my voice trembling with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. But the voice on the other end was not Michael's. It was his colleague, Sarah. "Emily, I'm so sorry to be the one to tell you this, but I think you deserve to know. Michael, he's been acting strangely lately. He's been distant at work, avoiding everyone. I don't know what's going on, but I thought you should be aware." My heart sank. The weight of the unknown pressed down on me, threatening to crush my spirit. I thanked Sarah for her concern, my voice barely above a whisper. Hanging up the phone, tears streamed down my face, a mixture of frustration, sadness, and anger. "I thought we had something special, Michael," I whispered to the empty room. But there were no answers, only silence. And in that silence, a resolve began to take shape. I would find out the truth, no matter the cost. Michael may have vanished from my life, but I would not let him erase me. I would fight, not just for answers, but for myself. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Each passing moment without Michael intensified the ache in my heart. His absence was a constant reminder of the life we once had, now shattered. I couldn't bear the uncertainty any longer. I needed answers. One evening, with determination coursing through my veins, I sat down at our shared computer and logged onto Michael's social media accounts. It felt like a breach of privacy, but I was desperate for any clue that might lead me to him. The messages, the notifications, they all revealed a life I knew nothing about. As I scrolled through his interactions, a sinking feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. Conversations with friends and acquaintances revealed a different side of Michael, one that was distant, secretive. It seemed he had been withdrawing from his social circles long before he disappeared. But why? What was he hiding? Frustration and confusion mingled within me as I picked up my phone and dialed his best friend's number. Perhaps he knew something, anything that could shed light on Michael's vanishing act. The phone rang, seemingly echoing the emptiness that had permeated my life. "Hello?" came the voice of Greg, Michael's best friend. "Greg, it's Emily," I said, my voice trembling with a mixture of hope and anxiety. "Have you heard from Michael? Do you have any idea where he might be?" There was a moment of silence, as if Greg was contemplating his response. Finally, he spoke, his voice laced with hesitation. "Emily, I haven't heard from him in months. He cut off contact with all of us. I'm as clueless as you are. But I can tell you he was acting strange before he disappeared. I tried reaching out, but he just shut me out." The weight of Greg's words crushed my hopes. It confirmed that Michael's disappearance was intentional, that he had deliberately severed ties with everyone, including those closest to him. But why? What could have driven him to such extreme measures? "I just don't understand, Greg," I said, my voice filled with frustration and sadness. "We had a life together, dreams, plans. How could he just vanish without a word?" "I wish I had answers for you, Emily," Greg replied, his voice filled with sympathy. "But all I can say is that something must have been going on with him. Maybe he thought it was easier to disappear than to face whatever demons he was battling." The conversation ended, leaving me with more questions than answers. Michael's absence seemed to devour every facet of my life, leaving behind a void that seemed impossible to fill. The weight of it all pressed down on me, threatening to suffocate me. But within that darkness, a flicker of strength emerged. I refused to be a victim of his disappearance. I would unravel the mystery piece by piece until I uncovered the truth behind his vanishing act. I would not rest until I found him and discovered why he had chosen to abandon me so callously. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months as I tirelessly searched for answers, relentlessly trying to unravel the mystery surrounding Michael's disappearance. The weight of his absence pressed upon me, leaving unseen wounds that cut deep into my soul. Sleepless nights became my constant companion. Each night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the memories of our once happy life haunted me. I couldn't comprehend how everything had unraveled so suddenly, how Michael had ignored me and treated me as if I didn't exist. One day, fueled by a mix of desperation and a glimmer of hope, I decided to pay a visit to Michael's parents' house. Perhaps they held some clue, some insight into his sudden departure. As I pulled up to their familiar home, my heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. I knocked on the door, and when it swung open, I was met with emptiness. The house echoed with silence, as if it, too, mourned the absence of its inhabitants. My eyes scanned the familiar surroundings, searching for any sign of Michael's parents. "Hello? Is anyone here?" I called out, my voice filled with uncertainty. But there was no response, only an eerie stillness that hung in the air. As I turned to leave, a glimmer of movement caught my eye, an open window revealing a glimpse of the interior. Curiosity tugged at me, urging me to investigate further. Cautiously, I approached the window and peered inside. What I saw shattered the remnants of my broken heart into 1,000 more pieces. There, in the midst of the house that had once been filled with warmth and love, stood Michael. But he wasn't alone. Beside him stood a woman, a stranger to me, yet their intimacy was undeniable. They laughed, their voices carrying through the empty house like a cruel symphony of betrayal. My breath caught in my throat as I watched them, disbelief mingling with a surge of anger. "How could you, Michael?" I whispered, my voice choked with pain and anger. "How could you do this to us?" But there was no answer, only the realization that he had been cheating on me, treating our years of love and commitment as if they were disposable. The wounds within me deepened, the pain intensifying as I grappled with the weight of his infidelity. Slowly, I retreated from the window, my mind reeling with a storm of emotions. The love I had once felt for him was overshadowed by a newfound resolve, a burning determination to reclaim my life, to rise above the ashes of this broken relationship. With a heavy heart, I made the decision to seek a divorce. I would no longer allow myself to be ignored, to be treated as if I didn't exist. I deserved better. Gathering my strength, I vowed to take back everything I had lost, including my dignity. Emotions surged within me, a maelstrom of anger, betrayal, and sadness as I processed the sight of Michael with his new girlfriend in his parents' house. It was a scene etched into my memory, a painful tableau that fueled my determination to unmask the deception that had shattered our lives. Days turned into weeks as I delved deeper into uncovering the truth. I meticulously gathered evidence of Michael's infidelity, documenting every instance, every interaction that betrayed our vows. It was a painful task, each discovery reopening wounds that seemed impossible to heal. One evening, armed with the irrefutable proof of his betrayal, I confronted Michael in person. The tension in the air was palpable as I entered the room where he sat, his expression a mix of surprise and guilt. "What is this, Michael?" I demanded, my voice laced with a mix of anger and sadness as I placed the evidence before him. He looked down, unable to meet my gaze, his silence a confirmation of his guilt. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry, Emily. I don't know how it all happened. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" I retorted, my voice sharp with bitterness. 3 months of betrayal, of pretending I didn't exist, and you call it a mistake? He winced at my words, the weight of his actions finally settling upon him. "I never meant to hurt you, Emily. It's just, things changed, and I lost sight of what truly mattered." I felt a surge of anger rising within me, my voice trembling with a mix of hurt and defiance. "You lost sight of what mattered. What about our years together, the promises we made? Did they mean nothing to you?" Tears welled in my eyes, threatening to spill over as I continued to confront him, demanding answers to the questions that had haunted me for months. His feeble attempts at explanations only added fuel to the fire of my resolve. "I'm done, Michael," I declared, my voice resolute. "I won't allow myself to be treated this way. I deserve better." The weight of those words hung heavily in the room as I turned away, the finality of my decision echoing through the silence. It was time to sever the ties that bound us, to reclaim my life and my sense of self-worth. In the following weeks, I embarked on the legal proceedings for a divorce, armed with the evidence that exposed his deceit. The process was grueling, but with every step, I regained a sense of empowerment. I refused to let his betrayal define me, to hold me captive in a web of lies and pain. The divorce was finalized, and with it came a newfound freedom. I took back all that was rightfully mine, ensuring that I walked away from the shattered remnants of our life together with my dignity intact. As the ink dried on the divorce papers, a newfound strength coursed through my veins. No longer bound by the chains of a broken marriage, I vowed to take control of my life and seek revenge against the man who had callously betrayed me. With the settlement from the divorce, which included the sale of our joint home worth a staggering $1 million, I had the means to execute my plan. It was time for Michael to face the consequences of his actions, to feel the pain he had inflicted upon me. Late one evening, I sat at my desk, surrounded by legal documents and a list of meticulously crafted steps. My vengeance would be strategic, calculated, and carefully orchestrated. The darkness in my heart fueled my determination, pushing me forward. The first step was to ensure that Michael would pay a heavy price for his infidelity. I sought the services of a renowned private investigator, someone who could uncover any hidden assets or financial misconduct on his part. The truth would be exposed, and justice would prevail. Days turned into weeks as the private investigator delved into Michael's affairs. His findings were shocking, unveiling a web of deceit and financial impropriety. The evidence was damning, providing me with the leverage I needed to ensure that Michael would face the full consequences of his actions. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I set my sights on his reputation, the carefully constructed facade he had maintained even as he betrayed me. I reached out to trusted friends and acquaintances, revealing the truth about Michael's infidelity and his deceptive ways. It was time for the world to see him for who he truly was. One evening, as a social gathering buzzed with conversation, I found myself face to face with Michael's close friend, Sarah. The air crackled with tension as I approached her, a sense of purpose guiding my words. "Sarah, there's something you should know about Michael," I said, my voice measured and steady. She looked at me, curiosity mixed with caution in her eyes. With a quiet intensity, I revealed the truth, recounting the painful journey I had endured, the betrayal that had shattered my world. I watched as disbelief and anger flashed across Sarah's face, her loyalty to Michael momentarily shattered by the weight of the evidence before her. "I had no idea, Emily," she said, her voice tinged with remorse. "I can't believe he would do something like this." "Neither could I replied, my voice filled with a mix of sadness and determination. "But it's time for the truth to be known. No more hiding behind lies." Sarah nodded, a newfound resolve mirrored in her expression. With allies by my side, I continued to execute my vengeful plan. I exposed Michael's infidelity and financial misdeeds to those in our social circle, tarnishing his carefully curated image. I ensured that the consequences of his actions followed him, a reminder of the pain he had inflicted. In the end, my vengeance was not just about hurting him. It was about reclaiming my power, finding closure, and moving forward. I had triumphed over the darkness that had threatened to consume me, emerging stronger and wiser.